Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. My guest today is Wayne Hunter. Wayne is the president and CEO of AvTek Solutions. Wayne, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Good to see you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show, Wayne. Wayne, tell me a little bit about AvTek Solutions.
Well, AvTek Solutions, we started back in 2004. There was a group of us got together and started based off some business I'd done for a previous company I'd ran, and it was high-end consulting in the enterprise space. But it's evolved over the years. You know, we've been around now, 21 years, going on 22. And we evolved from doing high-end consulting, mainframe, open system, stuff like that, to product sales, value-added reseller, to managed service provider, to today we're even providing compliance as a service. So we have a complete department that helps regulated environments and other client base to do compliance, because obviously that's a pretty hot issue today. So
that's huge.
We've evolved over the years, and we continue to evolve.
Yep. What are you seeing from your perspective, leading your business, as some of the key drivers in the marketplace today? What are people calling you to talk about?
Most of the time when I'm getting calls, it's going to be around two topics. It's going to be around security. Obviously, that's a staple for everything just because of the nature of the business today.
Yep.
But now with all the changes because of cybersecurity issues and those type of things, it's having the discussions about risk management. How do I deal with risk, and how does that tie into compliance, whether that's state, local, federal, industry-based, whatever it may be, and it could be a combination thereof. So normally folks that trying to do that, unless you really understand it, it can eat your lunch.
Yep. We just finished responding to an RFP for a very large organization. They had three central themes of this RFP, and not saying this in any terms of priority, but compliance was one of those. And it was a huge component of our response. And so it really is. I'm going to echo what you're saying. It is a very important, very central topic these days.
Yeah, we're even finding where people think, well, I'm not a bank, I'm not a CPA firm, I'm not this, I'm not a manufacturer, serving the DOD, so I don't have no compliance. And as soon as you're saying that, you've already set yourself up for failure, because there's not a business today that doesn't have some type of compliance requirements on them, whether they know it or not.
Yeah. And with the advent of AI coming in, I think that's going to be another key driver. Do you agree with that, or do you have a different take?
Well, it's already a driver.
Yeah.
Because I've got customers today, and I got clients calling me saying, I need help putting an AI compliance framework in place. It's already being asked for. Clients, of other companies coming in and say, what is your compliance setup? What's your security setup for AI? If you don't have it, can't prove it, that's the check mark against you. So it's already happening.
That's the thing. I get asked a lot about AI, and the people are like, hey, we're going to launch AI. And I'm like, all right, let's hold your horses here a little bit. What are you doing to get ready for AI?
Right.
Talking about security, talking about compliance. If you're not addressing that, you've got a major gap that you need to address.
And really, you got a step before that, because before you can define what your security posture and your compliance posture is, the first step of AI is data governance, data classification, data governance. If you do not do that, then it's going to eat your lunch, because if you don't understand where your data is, who has it, what is it, what's in it, then that's going to create the problem.
Yeah.
So
I've heard horror stories.
Backwards, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I've heard horror stories of people just were very aggressive. Let's turn on AI. Let us start crawling our SharePoint sites. Let's start crawling our internal data structures. Oh my gosh, what a nightmare.
Then they're like, how did that information get out?
Yeah.
They got access to it. Well, no, they don't. Yeah, they do. You just don't realize they do.
Yeah.
And it's a problem that's always been there. This is not new.
No.
I mean, data classification, data governance, who has access to what? It's been a problem ever since computers have been around.
Yep.
We kind of got, as all the data explosion happened and everything else, it become one of these issues of people was trying to stay up with it just to run their business. It was easy. Oh, I got big storage. I'll just let go of that. I don't have to worry about it. Now with application level coming into it, now you got to worry about it. Well, now they're realizing, oh, I got to get all this in place and get that done to take advantage. So that's where they're starting to need help.
Yep, I believe it. Wayne, you've had an incredible career. When you look back over it and try to summarize it, kind of boil it down, what are the three things that have really driven and led to the success that you've achieved?
Well, it started, as you can see behind me, I'm an old veteran. And if you see over to here, I was on nuclear fast attack submarines. And that's, for me, that's where it really started. When I actually got on the submarine and, it was process, procedures, how do you do things, how are you consistent to make things work? And there it's not, hey, if you screw up, you just try again. There, if you screwed up, it's life or death. So to me, process procedures, and anybody that knows me, I'm very in tune with doing that. If you don't have that in place, then you're going to get in trouble. So it really started there. So, process procedures, a big part of what we do. Another thing is something my dad told me a long time ago. He told me, son, if you don't, when you give someone your word, you honor it. If you don't know, you figure it out. But if you give someone your word, you honor it, no matter what. And so I lead that way. That's a big part of my leadership style. And when I look at people about how you honor what you do and be willing to be honest about, hey, I don't know, that's actually a very good answer. Clients love it, right? So it's about your word. And the third thing is family for me. And some folks look at that and say, what do you mean by family? And what I mean by family is, I'm a big family person and things there, but I also treat my business like a family. I have family members in the business, which a lot of people say no, but it's all about how you lead them and set expectations and things of that nature. And my client base, I treat them like family. And so to me, family, how I treat anyone is how I treat everyone. So those are probably the three staples of what I've built my whole career on.
Well, I love that. Yeah, I especially love that last one, in that I preach to my kids, be nice to everybody. You have no idea what's going on in their day, what's going on in their life. I love saying hi to people and say, how's your day going? Mm-hmm. And I've seen people when I do that where they just have the most sour look on their face. And I'm like, how's your day going? And they just completely change. And like, actually my day's going okay. Yeah. It's just like connect, So
we need a little bit more of that these days.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. And so now you're in the Navy. Did you have this vision of where you would be at today back then? Or
no.
What was this journey? How did this journey you're on now begin for you?
Well, my background, I come from a very poor background in the backwoods of Louisiana and coming up, and oldest of 6 kids. And so didn't have the money to go to college and all that kind of stuff, even though, and so I joined the Navy and was looking through it and coming in and looking at how I built a career. And when I got out, I went into supercomputing and was building my career there. And I started getting told I couldn't do things. And that's one of those things is, okay, don't tell me I can't. And it was in the late 80s, early 90s, started looking at what there was trends in the market. And I kept the company I was working for, I said, hey, if we go do this, there's money to be made here. Well, you can't do that. You can't charge this. You can't do this. So I went to several different companies and everybody was saying I couldn't do it. And my parents had passed away and I took $9,000, 2 weeks of vacation and said, I'm going to try this, and went and closed $40,000 worth of business and went and did it. Yeah. It was one of these things where when I was told, I knew there was opportunity there. I could see it. Yeah. There was people asking for it, but I was told I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I was working for large companies at those times. That just did rub me the wrong way. And so I said, I'm going to go do it. And I did that the first time. Now, the people I was working with, there were 7 of us that worked this one company, and a real close friends of mine, still close friends of mine these days. They all thought I was crazy. Yeah. They thought I lost it because I was very, right, wrong, black and white, either do it this way or you're just wrong.
Yep.
And they didn't think I'd have the ability to adapt because business has got gray, and we all know that. And so you don't know how to deal with that. That creates a problem.
Yep.
So it was one of these things where I guess it was different where I'm looking at it and how I was going to approach it. I was going to approach it the way I do it, and it worked out for me. So we ran that company for 7 years, sold it, and semi-retired when I was 40. And before I could turn 41, my wife told me I need to go find something good because I was driving. Hence, we started AvTek Solutions in 2004. So, but it come from being told no, being told I couldn't do it.
I love that.
And I just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah. Hey, we're taking a quick break to thank you for listening to and supporting the Sales Lead Dog podcast. I want to take a moment and tell you about my book, CRM Shouldn't Suck. If your CRM feels more like a black hole for data than something that actually helps your team sell, you're not alone. The book breaks down why CRMs fail for so many businesses and what you can do about it. No fluff, just real strategies that work. So go to crmshouldn'tsuck.com to order your free copy right now. That's right, we're giving it away. And while you're there, take 2 minutes to check out the CRM Impact Score. It's a quick diagnostic that shows you how your CRM is really performing, where it's helping you and where it's hurting you. You'll get a personalized report with clear, actionable next steps you can start right away to maximize your CRM investment. We've also got blogs, videos, and a bunch of other resources to help you finally get the results you were promised when you bought your CRM. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Sales Lead Dog. Okay, let's get back to this episode of the Sales Lead Dog podcast. I started my first company when I was 23. I was working for a consulting firm that was growing like crazy. They were just killing it. But I thought the way they was doing it, I thought it sucked. Like, you guys aren't doing this the right way. I could do this better. And so I went out and started my own company. It took me a little while to get to revenue, but we became their number one competitor pretty quick. And the whole time, my family, I'm the 6th of 9 children. My parents thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy. What do you know about running a business? The reality is I do nothing.
I know, believe me. The first thing I did when I did that I've still got them somewhere, but I went and bought the Encyclopedia of Entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Read it cover to cover, went and bought the Encyclopedia of Accounting, read that cover to cover, and then Encyclopedia of Finance, read that cover to cover. That's how I introduced myself.
Yep.
Did I do it right? All that right? Oh, absolutely not. Yep. But I realized I kept talking to people, learning from people, be willing to say, I don't know, I made a mistake, I need help. But I got a lawyer, I had CPA, I had people that I knew could make sure I'm doing things legally and financially correct.
Right.
Learn from that time frame.
Yep. Yeah. I literally I literally wrote in my business plan, I'm not going to let what I don't know stop me from achieving my goals. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
One way or another, brute force, whatever it is, I'm going to figure it out. I'm getting the sense that's kind of been your theme along this way on this journey as well.
I keep getting asked when I'm hanging up. One, my wife won't let me because I will drive her nuts. But what will cause me to hang something up is when I quit, if I quit learning, then I'm checking out.
Yeah.
I guess that's the reason I love business and I love the information technology, the technology side of the world, is because it's ever changing.
Yeah.
And if you're not learning, you get left behind. And to me, that keeps you young. To me, if you're exercising your brain, exercise your communication with other people, exchange ideas, that keeps you young and going. And so I get up every morning. I have a routine. I look forward to every day working. Yeah. I'm better about stepping away today than I was back in the day.
Yeah.
I'd look up and it's 2:00 in the morning going, oh man, I might need to go to bed. Now I try to control a little better, but I'm more efficient now. Yeah. When you were young, you thought if you wasn't working, you wouldn't get enough done.
Yeah.
But there's that point where you become inefficient in what you're doing because you're tired, your focus goes down on that. So learn to work smarter, not harder. and it took some maturity to learn that.
Yeah. Tell me about the deal that you lost that hurt the most.
The deal? Oh, that's a great question. The deal I lost that hurt the most. The deal I lost that hurt the most. Well, it wasn't a deal I lost. It was actually a deal that happened, but didn't happen at the right time. And it cost me dearly. I guess is a better way I could say it.
Well, that sounds good.
When I was selling my first company, we was going through negotiations. We had numbers. We had numbers where we set out that was going to be quite lucrative. But then 9/11 happened, and it happened. I mean, I was selling my business right at that. Yeah. And back in those days, you was traveling. I mean, you didn't get to work remote. You had to have people on site doing it. So when 9/11 happened, I had 11 engineers in the air at the time it happened, and our world come to a halt. Our revenue come to a halt. All that. And when you're a pure consulting company, that's brutal.
Yes.
We've been in negotiations where I had this one company wanted to buy us because we were one of the largest, consulting companies and training facilities for their product outside of themselves. And so we were set. But when 9/11 happened, all that the revenue stopped, everything else, they could have walked away, but they didn't. But of course, what I made was probably, 15 times less than what we was negotiating to start. So in a way, I took care of the employees. It took care of my family. We was able to do that. And in the long game, it turned out all right. But that's one of those when sometimes it's not necessarily the deal you lost, but sometimes it's the deal you win.
Yeah.
That could be costly at the same time.
Yep.
It's kind of like, hey, this customer, you didn't do enough due diligence. You landed them. Then you went, after you started working with them, you're going, what am I doing? Why do I have them? Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's probably the one that hurt the most. And it was something out of our control, but that I would pick that.
Yep. Yeah. I had a deal like that recently where if we would have landed it, it would have been one of the largest deals I've ever sold. But I just had bad feelings the whole way into this. Like, this just doesn't feel right. And then when we decided, hey, look, where it was an RFP, we decided, we're not going to submit the response. And it hurt to make that decision, but it's like, sometimes you just have to trust your gut.
I was going to say, there's a lot of stuff I got to do. And every time my gut tells me and I go against it, 9 times out of 10, it bites you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every once in a while you go, oh, okay. But most of the time, it's not good. So
yeah, it was hard.
My gut tells me I don't do it. I just don't.
Yeah. It was hard for the team. Everyone worked very hard for a month to respond to this RFP, but it got to a point where there's so many red flags that sometimes you just have to walk away and just, focus on what you think is going to be better. So
that was probably one of the advantages coming out of the enterprise space is all the RFPs I've read and been part of. I learned how to read an RFP that would keep me out of that situation because you can tell when an incumbent writes an RFP.
Yeah. And that was the big red flag.
Exactly. I figured that's what it was.
We're just like this. They've got so many very specific walls in here that I'm like, this just doesn't feel good,
They were just servicing their requirement of RFP to have three responses so then they could move on with who they wanted to move on with. That was
exactly. Yep. I imagine, you got some very valuable leadership lessons with your time in the Navy. Mm-hmm. What are some of the core leadership principles or lessons that you've learned over your career that really have become central to how you run your business today?
So when I look at leadership, there's a lot I think about, and I have these discussions a lot because I coach probably about 60 MSP companies. I'm in accountability groups, lead some stuff, and we have this discussion. And there's those entrepreneurs out there, or even in big companies, there's folks that they're a boss. They give direct, they basically say, hey, this task, go get it done. And then they're saying, do you get it done? Have you got it done? And beating up that. To me, that's not a leader. A leader is someone that's willing to lead by example. And to me, that means be willing to do what you're asking someone else to do. Okay. But also a leader, their job is to make sure of 2 things to me is educate their folks on why we're doing something before we go do it and ask them to go do it. So they understand the purpose behind it and get the buy into it, but also give them the tools they need to be successful. So a true leader, that they want to make sure you're setting up their people to be successful and look at it from that perspective. And that was very much, I got that in the military, even though military and most people think is, hey, you got someone that's a commander, he's going to give you an order to go do something, you go do it. And while you would think that's very much leaning to a boss, to me, it's not, because what you don't see is the level of training that they give you to do this. If you don't have something, they're there for helping. If I need something, sir, I can't do this, I need this, they get you the resource to help you. So a true leader, it applies to anything and anything, everywhere you are. So probably that's what I learned. I had some very good leaders when I was in the military, and I learned from that, because that's probably where I got most of it from. But I've also been lucky enough to have some good folks along the way and mentors that I got to learn from and do it the right way. Earlier I said I was like a bull in a china closet when I first started. It was right, wrong. There was no gray. But I learned over time through folks that was willing to work with me and saw the potential in me to educate me on that. Those are leaders, and that's what you want to emulate. And that's what I do, is I try to emulate what I've learned from others that allows me to also pass that down to the people I'm leading. So whether you're leading in church service, whether you're leading, a group, whether it be an accountability group, whether you're leading your company, you're just leading a bunch of friends to go out on the evening together, it's all the same in how you go about doing it. So to me, leadership is very crucial about your first looking at yourself. If you would not do that, why would you do it to someone else? So look inward, and that helps you become that leader that you need to be.
I love that last part, especially, that's one of the things I had to learn about leadership, is there's a big part of being vulnerable in being a good leader, that being willing to open yourself up and share, your failures, things where you fell on your face and it hurt, but you got up and you kept moving. Like, leader's not all about dictating it. It's like you're saying, it's sometimes you got to pick them up and you got to show them, like, hey, I've been there. I've been there, and it was 10 times worse.
Well, you'll see that I find that in there is that a lot of folks that have problems with that is, if you're going to be a good leader, that means you're putting people around you that's smarter than you, that can do things you can't do. And you got to be willing to, one, know that's good. Two, understand how to give them guidance. I always call it, keep them between the white line. What does that mean? I'm showing them the path where we'll go. We know where the objective is.
Yeah.
We know what the outcome needs to be.
Yep.
You know how you would go do it, but when you're leading a team, you got to be willing to let them be creative, as long as they stay within the white lines.
Yep.
If we end up the same place, you got to be good with that.
Yep.
That's what a good leader does.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't dictate, you can't control. Again, I've talked about this on the show many times, where when I was first getting out my first leadership roles, I thought I had to be the smartest person in the room, the smartest member of my team, and have all the answers. And that's just so backwards, and finally I realized, it took me 2 or 3 years to realize, I'm a huge bottleneck. I'm holding my team back. I'm not elevating anybody, and it was a hard lesson to learn, and I've been looking back on that. I just felt, just embarrassed, that I just, but I think it's something you have to go through.
I had a scenario early on in AvTek where, I had, about 3 or 4 techs at the time. And it was one of these Fridays where, all the planets aligned. Everybody forgot their passwords. They lost their mind. They couldn't do anything. It's like the other day, and the phones were ringing off the wall, right? Yeah. So I had some free time. And so I just jumped on and started handing some tickets for them and taking some calls and doing this and doing it. Well, every Monday we'd have our huddle on the Monday, and I'd go through with the team, the whole company, and go through what we're doing, where we're headed. And then at the end of it, I would say, anybody got any issues or any topics you want to bring up or ideas, whatever. And one of our tier 3 techs brought up, says, yeah, I got something. I said, what's that? He says, if our CEO has to get on a Friday and work on tickets, then don't you think it's time for us to hire somebody? And my first gut reaction was, hey man, I was just trying to help you guys out. That was my gut coming in, being almost defensible, is defending why I was doing something.
Right.
And I caught myself and I said, you know what? You're right. So what's our next step? And I put it back on. What's our next step? You brought it up. Yeah. What's our next step? Help me with, you're going to bring a problem. Help me with a solution. Yeah. And you got to encourage that.
Yep.
So he comes and says, we need to hire someone. Said, tier 1 tech? Yeah. Okay. I said, let's put the job post. We went out, put it out there. In 2 weeks, we hired somebody.
Yeah.
The result of that was the level of communication we started getting from everybody in the company went up just because I said, you know what? You're right. Let's go solve that. And all of a sudden they went, oh, he's listening.
Yeah.
And I thought, out of my whole career, that's probably the one thing that stands out to me about when you're leading, you got to listen.
Yes.
Don't then listen.
There's a great story I read in Wall Street Journal about the, Ford got a new CEO. He's the former CEO at Boeing, and he would have his, Monday morning meetings where everybody's coming in with all these big binders that were color coded on issues that they were having for all the cars that were in the, being developed for the future and whatnot. And all you see is green. And he knows, he's been in this business long enough. That's BS. There's not a project out there that's all green, come on. And it took a little while to get people to understand, this meeting is real. This isn't just fluff time, blow smoke time. I want to know what's really going on. But it took him about a month or so, but pretty soon you had the whole rainbow of colors in these binders where now people felt safe to say, look, I've got a problem. We're this area, it's red. We've got major blockers. Now as a team, we can start working on that stuff. We can collaborate and start, really driving things forward. It's not all on you. We're all in this together.
Yeah, I tell everybody, I tell folks and I tell clients and anybody, someone calling and say, hey, Wayne, your company's doing a really good job. Okay, that's good. I like that. What I love is when someone calls me and says, hey, Wayne, your tier 4 tech, Andy, or your tier 1 tech, Joe, your service manager, Matt, man, you got some really great people that are taking care of us. We really appreciate your team. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you're leading a group right and you're doing that and everybody's working together, they're all on the same, path of where you're going, like I said, between the white lines, that's the results. Yep. That's what you want to hear. And if you're doing that, you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to. Tell me a little bit about more the role mentorship played in your development, and then also how you're leveraging mentorship as a leader today.
That's interesting because when I first started doing this, there's one of the things I was so busy. I was trying to do it all myself, learn it all myself. And I have a brother-in-law that he's also an entrepreneur, and he was in the healthcare side of it. And of course, the home healthcare side of the business is a little bit different in how, cash flow, everything always worked in. And we were sitting down one day and started talking and said, we just got into a business discussion and kept on and said, okay, why don't we just get together every Wednesday? And we called it Bourbon Wednesday is what
I like where that's going.
Well, I'd go to his place and we'd sit down in his office and we took an easel and put it in the middle of the room. And one Wednesday I would write a topic on it. And that's the topic we talked about. The next Wednesday he wrote one.
Yep.
When I started, I thought he was just talking about our problems and just giving ideas of being on it. But what it turned into is I started got mentored in business by someone that's a financial background.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm being mentored and I started noticing what's going on, but yet he was taking some mentorship from me at the same time.
Yeah.
And then as I opened up and saw how that was going on, it dawned on me, it's like, okay, this is how you got to mentor. It's not necessarily you go and sign up with a program and you got someone preaching to you. It's you being willing to have someone in a room that you respect for whatever reason it is.
Yep.
That you respect, that you're willing to open and be, like you said, be open, humble, vulnerable, and share that and be willing to listen, no matter what it is. Listen to what comes back.
Yep.
Some of it's going to be positive. Some of it's not going to be very good.
Yep.
And you got to be willing to take that. So mentorship to me is not taking someone and tearing them down and showing and beating them up about what they're doing wrong. It's taking saying, okay, this is not working. Here's why. Let's figure out how we get you on the right path. Here's how I did it. And not push on what you're doing, but give them the examples. It's all about, here's an idea and scenarios and why it works, and be willing to share that as you're moving forward. So mentorship to me is being willing to share. And anybody knows me, you ask me how I did something, I'll tell you exactly how I did it.
Yeah.
A lot of, a lot of us, you think about it in business, entrepreneurs are like, I can't tell you, you do the same things I do. If I tell you, then you take on my business.
Yeah.
And I've got MSPs that I can throw a rock at from my office.
Yeah.
That we never run into each other. Never.
Yeah.
So one of them's actually in one of my accountability groups I lead as a certified captain of an accountability group. I tell them how I market, how I go, my service stack, what's in my stack, what I do, share it all.
Yeah.
Still don't run into each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I share that, the amount I get back to help me improve on what I'm doing also is huge.
It is huge. First peer group I joined, I was scared to death for months. I was so scared that I was going to look foolish or silly or stupid. And so I held back. And when I finally realized this is a safe space, God, it was such an incredible feeling to be able to have that level of vulnerability and be that open to receive that feedback that I desperately needed, but I was scared to ask for. It is an incredible feeling. And then that transferred throughout my whole life, that to drop those shields, that armor that we're carrying, that we have to present like, hey, I'm the super successful entrepreneur and everything in my life is perfect. Nobody lives a life like that,
No, there's no such thing. And what, the old analogy, pay it forward analogy, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is in life, whether it's in business, whether it's personal, whatever, open book, share, pay it forward. I don't ask for anything, but I always get back X fold of what I give.
Yeah.
And I always did I give enough?
Yeah.
When you start asking yourself that, now you got your mindset in the right mindset to move forward. Because if you're asking yourself, have I helped someone? Have I given enough for what I get back?
Yeah.
Now you're doing it. You're doing it right.
Yep.
You're on the right path.
Shifting topics, CRM, do you love it or do you hate it?
Customer relationship management.
Yes.
It's
a dirty word for a lot of people.
Not me. It's not me. A lot of people think about a CRM and they go in and say, I got to go put all my data in. But if you can't measure what you don't track.
That's right.
And you can't manage information that you don't have a process procedure to. Like I said, I'm a big process procedure guy.
Yep.
So I actually have I've got a CRM for my marketing and sales. We manage all of our campaigns, our customer list out of it, coming into it, and who we're going to, our metrics on what we're doing, all that, so we can understand what we're doing. Is it resonating or not? If I'm not tracking that, I have no way to know whether it's successful or not. Winning a deal is not the measurement of how your marketing and sales working. Marketing and sales is the conversations you have. Yes. And are you building enough conversation to feel like we always talk about the funnel to get to those deal closes?
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing I've learned over the last 5 years, and I've been in business 21. I didn't really start doing that really good until 2021.
Yeah.
And now I don't even if I did back then what I'm doing now, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But hindsight 2020. And then our services side, we got what's called a PSA, which is a CRM, but it's very specific to delivering services. So I actually got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I've integrated them to work so we have that flow. So I'm a big, big proponent of a CRM or PSA, whatever you may be using and what you're doing there. Because if you don't, that's what's happening. That's your real time. And if you can't see it, how can you adjust? How can you make a change to make sure, hey, this is not successful? Well, if I'm not tracking it, I don't know. I'll be spending thousands and thousands of dollars on a marketing campaign that yields 0.
Yeah.
But I can shift to something else and all of a sudden it's working because I saw it, I monitored it, I watched it. So to me, if you're not using a CRM specifically for sales and marketing, you're behind the 8 ball.
Oh, big time. It's really going to be hard to grow. You'll get to a point where you'll be chunking along, you'll be fine, but you're going to hit a wall and you're not going to, it's going to make it real hard.
About 2 points, around 2.5 million.
Yeah.
You hit that wall.
Yeah.
And
there are certain intervals that I learned, very involved in the entrepreneur group here in Colorado. And we talk about that a lot, where there's certain walls that you get to at that first million, 2.5, 3 million, 7 to 10 million is another area.
You have death.
Yeah, that it's like
3 to 5, 3 to 7 range.
yeah,
Oh man.
it's tough. It's you hit these walls and then you've got to take your business to a whole new level.
Mhm.
It's really hard to do that if you don't have the right tech infrastructure.
Right.
And to your point, as you're doing that, you got to start thinking about other things like security and compliance and all these other things. It all goes together. It's part about, hey, and it's time to put my big boy pants on, and because we've got to get to the next level.
Well, think about this is how's your team going to follow what you're doing? How can you hold key metrics, key initiatives, and lay that out and be able to track it and everybody's seeing the same thing and work towards it? If you don't have something like a CRM to put those dashboards up, put that information up to be able to pull that in. And also, for us, it's like, okay, and services, they got their key metrics coming out. Sales got their metric. I pull all that in one dashboard. I can see it. Now, us as a team, we come together, we're looking at the same thing.
Yep.
We all can have better ideas about what we need to do to adjust, move
Oh, yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, man, you're missing a lot of power because you got the information. You're doing the things.
Yep.
You just put it into something that displays it to yourself.
Yep.
That's the problem.
That is, we do a thing when companies, we do a lot of rescues in my business where companies come and say, Chris, our CRM's just not working right. We need help, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to educate people on is usually it's not the CRM that's the problem. It's everything else around it that's the problem. Mm-hmm. And so we go through their business and we have this special engagement that we do where we're able to capture all this data about what those blockers are and identify all those things, pull it into Power BI and produce all this data about their business. Because we've learned that we got to strip the emotion away. Everyone's got ideas about what the problem is, but they're soft ideas. There's nothing really, there's no data behind it. If we start showing you the data about all this stuff, how all these issues interconnect and the impact it's having on your business, it's amazing the alignment it creates towards driving towards your strategic goals and what you're trying to get done. And so, man, you're preaching to the choir when you're talking about, I'm getting all amped up and excited because that's what it takes.
Now, what I tell people, and people say, well, how do I get there? And I tell them, I said, it really boiled down, for me, it boiled down to my first company when I did it, and I didn't realize it would carry through. But the time I sat down and I read the, encyclopedia for entrepreneur and all this, and it talked about a business plan, but there were some key things it talked about, and it started talking about workflow.
Yeah.
And how's this information flow around the customer within a business to deliver a consistent process and service to do that. So I sat down with Visio of all things and built a diagram, and I built my business around that diagram. I'm still using that simple diagram. I've expounded on it, but the core is still that exact same diagram I generated back in 1995.
Yep. That's amazing.
But it's all about workflow. So you want a CRM to work for you?
Yep.
First sit down and go, how does information flow through my business to hit the end result of the customer is satisfied? Take it from that aspect. So draw that customer and then start talking about how's my business interface to it? Yep. How's that information flow? Is that bidirectional? Is that one way? Does it go to another organization? If you can figure that out, now you can put that into a CRM and you can manage it.
Yes, 100%. Wayne, you have me all amped up. I want to keep talking, but we hit our time here on Sales Lead Dog. It has been absolutely great having you on the show. If people want to reach out and connect with you, if they want to learn more about AvTek Solutions, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can reach out to go to my website, avteksolutions.com, AVTEK solutions.com. You can book time with me right from that calendar. You can also find me on LinkedIn under AvTek Solutions.
Those is awesome.
Easiest ways.
Yep. If you didn't catch that, don't worry about it. We have it in our show notes. You can get that at impellercrm.com/sales lead dog. We get not only this episode, but now I think we're pushing north of 170 episodes of Sales Lead Dog now. Check all those out. We got some great episodes. Be sure to subscribe. Look for us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, I think. Be sure to check that all out and follow us. We greatly appreciate that support. Wayne, thank you so much again for coming on Sales Lead Dog, and welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Pack.
Man, I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do it again next time.
That'd be great.
All right.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.